Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Shiny Lazarus, your host for today's exciting webinar, Breaking Barriers, Redefining the Role of AI Assistants in Contract Management. We are delighted to have Sunil Masan joining us as a key speaker today. Sunil heads up product at Avenir, an AI-powered contract management solution provider on the ServiceNow platform. Sunil is a thought leader with over 20 years of pre- and post-signature contract management expertise. We also have Deepak Gupta joining us today. Deepak is a senior solutions consultant at Avenir and brings more than a decade of contract management solutioning experience. We are really looking forward to Deepak delighting us with a demonstration of Avenir's generative AI capabilities that will include a demonstration of the launch of AVAI, our AI assistant for contract management. This webinar will be recorded. We encourage you to stay engaged, react, use the chat, and post questions so we all get to learn. Yes, we will have ample time at the end to answer all your questions. Let's get started then. Before we get into the heart of the matter, I'd like to call out that Avenir, the host of this webinar, produces source-to-pay applications on the ServiceNow platform. Our applications are all AI-powered and enable RFP management, vendor onboarding, contract and contract obligation management, and AP automation processes. As you can see, our applications have been widely adopted across industries and geographies. Our customers have achieved meaningful value realization through productivity gains, better vendor compliance, and risk management, and faster time to value. So let's get into it. AI, generative AI, and AI assistants are everywhere these days. Talk to us about how AI assistants are finding their way in every aspect of what we do, personally and professionally. How is the landscape evolving?
Thank you, Shiny. Clearly, AI and AI assistants are everywhere. They're touching almost everything we do and getting more and more intelligent by the day. Actually, these days, I cannot even tell if I'm chatting with a live agent or an AI bot. As you can see, AI assistants, they're handling customer service queries, assisting shoppers with finding products, scheduling doctor appointments and reminders, managing budgets and expenses, and more. In some industries, AI assistants, they're getting even more smart and going beyond administrative tasks. They're predicting inventory needs in manufacturing, for example, providing recommendations to shoppers based on interest and prior learning, and detecting product quality risks. Soon, I won't be surprised if AI assistants will be running this webinar that you and I are hosting. So what is an AI assistant? By definition, it's an AI tool that uses natural language processing and machine learning to assist and interact with users in a human-like way. And simply put, they're basically assistants that use text and voice commands or prompts, often in a conversational manner. AI assistants understand complex questions and generate contextual responses. And just like what we saw in the previous slide, some of the use cases that we are very familiar with, AI assistants, they perform lookups, they generate content, whether it's marketing content or, of course, in our case, generating a new clause altogether. AI assistants, they perform administrative tasks. We just talked about that, scheduling reminders, for example. And we are seeing a gradual shift where AI assistants are moving towards delivering more intelligence. AI assistants, they're delivering, we're seeing them deliver business insights, predict outcomes, and optimize different processes. We also see AI assistants offer various kinds of recommendations and guidance too.
Thank you, Sunil. That was a good, quick recap of what AI assistants are and the landscape across industries. Talk to us now about contract management. What are you seeing and the potential for AI and AI assistants to solve contract management challenges?
Absolutely, Shiny. Now, before we get into how AI assistants and AI can help with contract management, let's take a step back and let's look at all the challenges that we face in the contract management world. And this but should not be a surprise to most of you. Clearly, you can see challenges around understanding a contract, understanding contract language, understanding risk, getting to identify obligations and key clauses in a contract. And these challenges are not, this particular challenge is not limited to just legal alone. Other departments, the contract is a heart of an organization. So other departments depend on what's in the contract, and they need to understand contract language, risk, and obligations. There are challenges called out around lack of standardized templates and workflows, long review and negotiation cycles, too much back and forth, hard to find contracts and contract information once again, and cannot share contract data. Well, even before that, cannot identify contract data or all the contract data that is needed. And then once that is identified, cannot share that contract data across systems. So these are some of the key contract management challenges, and clearly they impact productivity, they impact revenue, subject the organization to risk, and then there is a impact relationship with customers, vendors, and partners that can get impacted. So now the question is, how can AI help? Of course, process automation definitely helps alleviate some of the pain that we have that I just covered. But how can AI help move that needle even further? Let's take a look at that. So when I think about AI for contract management, I first look at, foundational AI capabilities, often powered by generative AI. Now, enterprises, they deal with legacy contracts, they deal with third-party paper contracts. And over here, AI can now help identify those hard to find terms, the clauses that you want to track, that you want to identify and negotiate on. They're important to your business. AI can help identify and extract obligations. These could be performance obligations, regulatory obligations, and so on. And once AI has extracted all of this, you then get your contract record with all of that identified information, and that becomes your centralized repository. And what happens next? Once you have that repository in place, you can then easily share this information with external systems, with dependent systems. You can connect your contract data. You can now search for information more easily. You can track renewals and upcoming terminations and so on. And you can manage performance of vendors and your own performance as well, because contracts contain those performance obligations. Moving on, once the enterprises have invested and built a solid AI-powered repository, then one can look at advanced generative AI use cases. Of course, as the title of the slide says, AI assistance for contract management. So these advanced generative AI use cases can be delivered through AI assistance. And what are these use cases? Clearly, there is, identification of risk via deviations, auto redlining of contracts, which is, you can think of it almost as a byproduct of risk analysis, where AI can now help auto redline clauses. And this further helps enterprises manage their workload better. Now you know where the risk is and you know where to focus. This helps enterprises speed up their negotiation cycles and improve compliance as well. Now, in this set of advanced generative AI use cases, there's clearly template updates, clause and contract generation as well. Getting to information using natural language-based queries and search, and intent-based search, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And finally, there is also clause simplification and contract summaries. It's important for legal, for procurement, for sales, other departments to understand what's in a contract. And AI can help generate these simplified explanations of clauses and contract summaries as well. And as you may have guessed, pretty much all of these capabilities, and this is really a sample set of advanced generative AI capabilities that the market has started seeing, that enterprises have started adopting AI and AI assistants for. And yes, like I was saying, you can pretty much guess all of these capabilities can be delivered through an AI assistant experience. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So what we've talked about so far is AI and AI assistants helping enterprises identify information, extract information, access information, detect risk through comparisons, through deviation, and so on. Now, the potential is significant here for AI assistants to change the game. AI assistants can help pretty much, again, all departments. They can help various persona identify, get to contract insights from individual contracts. And let's take a look at some of the examples. What am I talking about here? You may want to ask the contract a question. Can I terminate this contract today? Is this contract HIPAA compliant, or is this contract GDPR compliant? What remediation steps I need to take for breach of PII, or personally identifiable information? Is this contract compliant with provisions from GRC data that I may have access to? Can the manufacturer change my contracted price without any notice? Now, if you examine all of these questions that you want to get answers to and that you can ask a contract, this goes beyond, going and searching for information or extracting clauses or terms from within a contract. Here we are getting to intent-based question and answers that AI assistants can power. Now, moving on, this gets even further interesting. So we talked about getting those insights from a contract, but what about when you look at a repository? Once again, contract managers, executives, they want to understand what's the risk across their entire contract portfolio. And let's again look at some examples where AI assistants backed by generative AI, how they can power repository analysis. You may want to know which contracts were impacted by COVID-19. Which contracts could get impacted due to the Russia-Ukraine war? What opportunities exist across all my contracts to reduce cost? Which upcoming vendor contract renewals should I negotiate? And finally, show me all non-compliant contracts that are deviating from our typical positions. So once again, if you start examining these types of questions, these are intent-based inquiries that operate across the entire repository. Now, if you look at, and they cover a lot of ground. If you look at this one question, which upcoming vendor contract renewals should I negotiate? Now, in my mind, if I am a contract manager or I am managing my vendor relationship, This is what I want AI to consider. I want AI to consider market conditions. Where is the vendor located? Is there going to be any geographical impact? I want AI to consider compliance against GRC provisions, compliance against standards, legal standards that have been set up for my organization, and see which vendor contracts are not adhering to those compliance standards that I have set up. I want AI in this one question itself. I want AI to also look at performance. I want AI to look at performance of vendors across all different types of obligations. I may also want AI to look at risk associated with the vendor from external data sources as well. And can AI really help with this? Can AI really look at all of these considerations and give you an answer? Can this assistant actually do its job and give you the answer to your question, which vendor contracts should you negotiate? The answer is absolutely yes. This is possible now, or maybe in the very, very near future. Avenir, we've already made some huge strides in this direction. So that's really what I wanted to cover here. I wanted to cover how AI assistants, they can change the game, and in fact, what can move the dial even further beyond everything that I've talked about is leveraging connected data, leveraging dependent data that is coming from other solutions, like your vendor onboarding solution, which has supplier data, like GRC we talked about, like external data that has risk information, taking all of that to now power all the repository insights that you are looking for.
Thank you, Sunil. That was indeed insightful. Let's get into action. I'm going to request Deepak Gupta to delight us with a live demonstration of Avenir's AI assistant AV-AI and Avenir's generative AI-powered contract management. Deepak, all yours.
Thank you, Shaini. Thank you, Sunil. Now let's get into the demo for some exciting AI capabilities. Now here we'll talk about how Avenir's AI capability would help you extract and tag data from an uploaded third-party agreement. Now this is a sample third-party agreement that you see, and on to the right, you see the uploaded agreement data, whereas on to the left, the AI has extracted the data from the uploaded agreement. Now there are different data elements that the AI is able to extract, that is the terms, clauses, and obligations. Now if I talk about the terms, this is where you can see the key data elements such as the start date, the contract type, the governing law, contract amount, etc. Now, at the same time, what I can also do is I can also go ahead and validate these extracted data elements. Now, as soon as I click on any of these extracted data elements, now on to the right, you see the system is automatically highlighting from which the AI has extracted data from the uploaded agreement. And at the same time, it's also tagging to which data element or data point this particular extracted value has been tagged to. Now, similarly, if I go to the clauses, this is where I can even go ahead and click on any specific clause. And this is where the system will automatically show the highlighted part onto the agreement here. The third data element, which is the obligations. So any type of obligation or the task embedded within the agreement that needs to be made actionable can also be extracted. Now, as soon as all these data elements are extracted and validated, I can simply go ahead and create a contract document. All right, so this is where we are onto a newly created contract document, and onto the right, you see the uploaded agreement, and onto the left, the extracted and validated data. Now, since this is a third-party agreement, we might end up having few questions to which we would need a response to. Now, this is where we can seek help from AI assistants, and this is where Avi AI can help you get the responses within few seconds rather than me going through the entire document line by line or page by page to review it. Now this is where I can type in few queries. Let's say, is this contract GDPR compliant? And we can ask certain additional information as well. Let's say if not, how should I make it GDPR compliant? Now, as soon as I type in the query and return the question, Avi AI would read through the entire contract document and get you the results. Now, this is where Avi AI shows you what the response is. Now, it shows that this is not GDPR compliant. Now, since my follow-up question was there, what should I do to make it GDPR compliant? And this is where it shows you that you can include few of the additional provisions to make it GDPR compliant. Now, this is where it helps us get more information, not only from the compliance perspective, but what you can even perform as an action to make it GDPR compliant. As an example, let's say, can the customer terminate the contract unilaterally? And let's say, what is the notice period required to terminate the contract? Now let's see how Avi AI responds to this particular question. Now this is where it shows that the customer can terminate the contract unilaterally, and the notice period required to terminate is 90 days. All right, so let's see how Avi AI responds to this specific question. Now this is where it shows you the response to this particular question that was typed in to the chat. All right, let's check out onto the Adobe Systems liability question here. Now, since Adobe Systems is a third party with whom we are creating this agreement, let's see what is the liability for those third parties. Now, this is where you can see that, the third party shall be liable for any indirect or incidental or special consequential damages. So that's how Avi AI can help you track those responses by simply typing in the query within the Avi AI, within the AI assistant. Now let's try some more. Now let's try a query with respect to the insurance coverage. Now let's see how Avi AI responds to this specific question that is being asked. Now this question involves the insurance coverage along with the amount details. And this is where Avi AI returns that, these are the insurance coverages according to, and also has certain amounts associated with them. Now, what if I want to even identify certain risks, right? These are few questions that we already tried. Maybe let's check whether Avi AI can identify certain risks associated with this particular contract or not. Let's say identify the risks associated with this contract as an example. Now, as soon as I type this, Avi AI can also automatically return Now, this is where Avi AI lists down all the risks that are associated with this particular agreement. Now, let's try one more with respect to the obligations. Now, let's say what are Adobe Systems obligations for security of customer data. And let's say we also add that list out each of the obligations with explanation. Now, this is where we need to understand that, how much of the third party is committed to do the business with us and drive any of your decision-making process, whether you want to, work with those third parties or not, depending on how these obligations are laid down within this particular agreement. Now, this is where it shows you all the obligations laid down here and how these obligations are tied to this particular agreement. Now, this is how Avi AI can help you answer any specific questions related to this particular uploaded agreement. Now, while reviewing, we also know that, there are few clauses which can get a bit tricky to understand. Now, this is where directly on the live view itself, while reviewing, what I can do is, let's say if I just encounter any specific clause which I'm unable to understand, I can simply select that particular clause and take help from Avi AI. Now, with the option of simplifying clause with Avi AI, this is where, based on the selection, Avi AI automatically picks up the selected text and it shows me a simplified version, which is easy to understand so that I can get a gist and hold of this particular agreement that is being uploaded. Now, let's say if I want to go ahead and review this particular agreement, I can simply make use of an online editor. And this is where Avenir Contract Flow, it's tightly integrated with Microsoft Word application. And as soon as I click on online editor, this is where I would be redirected. I would land onto this Microsoft Word online editor. Now, this is where Avi AI also helps you to track the deviation score. Now, what I mean by that is any of the clauses that the AI has extracted, it automatically compares the extracted value with the standard verbiage within your clause library. So you may have few of the pre-approved clauses already present within your clause library. And based on the meaning of the clause, the AI is able to track the deviation score. Now here onto the left, you see the extracted clause language, and onto the right, you see the pre-approved clause language. Now down here below, you see our overall deviation score and Avi AI also generating a quick summary of what's the difference between the two clause languages. Now with the help of generate safer clause, now since the deviation score is quite high, Avi AI helps you generate a safer clause that automatically brings down the overall deviation score within the safer limits. Now, this is the generated safer clause that AVA has generated. And if you see here down below, the clause deviation score has reduced to 20%. Now, this is within the safer limits that can further be taken during the negotiation process. Now, another option that AVA is able to track is the missing clauses. Now, in the past, if you have similar agreements that you have worked upon, AI would automatically check any of the missing clauses, which can also be included as a part of these agreements. So any third-party agreement that you upload, if there are any specific clauses that also needs to be included, AI would give you those recommendations, and with a single click of a button, you would be able to insert these clauses within the third-party agreement. Now, as soon as I review this particular contract document, I can take further action onto it by sending it for further rounds of review, sending the document for signature process, or taking an approval. Now, at any point of time, Avi AI also helps you generate a summary here. Now, this is where it shows the AI-powered summary, and it automatically consolidates what the agreement is all about, that any of the reviewer, approver, or signatory would make out of what the contract document is all about. Now, another area where we use AI is for searching of the contract documents within the repository. So once I have all the contracts in place within the application, all I can do is go to this global search bar, turn on the smart search, and type in any of the unstructured query which the system would able to give me the results for. Now, as an example would be, show me all contracts with Amazon over $100K. Now, as soon as I type in my query, this is where the AI engine searches for the entire repository and shows me all the contracts which are tied with Amazon as my counterparty and which are over $100K values. Now, let's take another example with respect to the clauses, right? Now, this is another example of the NLQ search. Let's say I just want to see all the contracts with termination clause. Now, as soon as I type in my query, the system will automatically return me all the contracts which has a termination clause associated within those agreements. Now, that was a quick snapshot of Avenir's AI capabilities. Over to you, Shiny.
That was amazing, Deepak. We have time left for questions, so let's get right to it. There seem to be quite a few questions today. Let me start with the question that I see at the top. Enhancing contract data, for example, with supplier or compliance data will be key for AI assistants to deliver business insights. What mechanism to integrate with dependent systems exist?
Yeah, thank you, Shiny, and to our audience for this question. I'll take that one. So Avenir's solutions, Avenir's contract management solution and contract obligation management solution, we are built on the ServiceNow platform itself, and our solutions connect with our contract management and obligation management solution. It connects with other applications that Avenir has, i.e. RFP management, vendor onboarding, and then AP processing as well. When I say connect, so we connect with these applications not only for process connectivity, but also connectivity across data and insights. We are, at the end of the day, it's all on a single data model platform. Now, similarly, our applications also connect to other ServiceNow's applications, for example, VRM and GRC. So Avenir has the access, or you as a customer of Avenir and ServiceNow, you have the power now to bring all this data together and leverage those in the contract analytics that you just saw through Avi AI, our AI assistant. So my point here is that no integration is really required because we are all on a single data model platform. Now, if we do have to reach out to externally, for example, our contract management solution has to reach out externally to integrate with vendor onboarding or other types of supplier data, then a variety of mechanisms are available for that. We have point-to-point REST APIs available. We as in ServiceNow has an integration hub with specialized adapters to a very large number of external systems, to ERPs, to CRMs, to other financial and vendor management solutions as well. So a number of options are available to integrate and bring the best data to enrich the AI that is being delivered to you.
Mm-hmm. Great question and great answer, Sunil. A number of folks have asked the next question. What data do you store? Are contracts and clauses? Are prompts?
So everything that you saw in the demonstration does not require the storage of any of your data outside of the ServiceNow platform. Your data is in your instance. And, yes, our AI engine runs outside of the ServiceNow platform, but then, that is invoked through APIs. Where you would pass in the prompts, you would pass in the contract that you want extracted, or the contract from which you want to gain any insights. But nothing. We don't store anything. We don't use your data or even your prompts to train our LLMs. Now, in the future, we will be getting more and more into repository analysis and giving our customers insights across their entire repository of contracts. In that scenario, yes, we will need to store your data outside of the ServiceNow platform. But we will make sure that we work with you to ensure that all security compliances are in place. And yeah, we'll make sure that all security compliances are in place. So it'll only happen with your permission. Yeah.
Okay. The next question is, can your AI assistant and AI capabilities connect with our contract database that is not on ServiceNow?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes. So technically, absolutely, yes. Our AI because our AI engine sits outside of the ServiceNow platform, and theoretically, just like we are connecting to our own contract management application on the ServiceNow platform, we will be able to connect with your contract management solution as well through APIs. So the simple answer is yes. But then, as we start peeling all the layers of the onion, so to speak, we'll need to get into the actual use cases. Ultimately, we would want to deliver a rich embedded experience in your UX, right? So while technically this is possible, we'll also have to understand your current contract management solution and the amount of heavy lifting that might be needed for that to integrate with our AI.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Sunil. The next question we have here is, do you use open source LLMs?
So the answer is we started with open source LLMs, and then we've created our own proprietary LLM from that has been specifically trained for legal and procurement use cases. So if your concern is once again about privacy, whether is your data or your contract going to be sent out to an open source LLM, the answer is no. If you're concerned about the the accuracy, and worried that, if it's an open source LLM, the responses that you might get or the answers you might get from the prompts, they may be generic and not specialized for legal and procurement use cases. Then the answer is you don't have to worry about that, because yes, we started with open source LLMs, but then we've created our own we've done our own specialized training for procurement and legal use cases and created our own LLM through that mechanism.
Okay. The next question here is, does Avenir have a repository-only offering?
Yes, we do actually. We do have a repository-only offering. I don't know if the attendee that asked this question, the intent was whether does that also come with with the AI capabilities that we talked about? Yes, absolutely. It actually comes. Our repository-only version comes with a number of AI capabilities that you just saw in the demonstration.
Okay. The next question and the last question that we have got is, how many terms and clauses does your AI extract out of the box? Why do we need term and clause extraction if the AI assistant as contract feature can help us find terms and clauses?
Okay. Okay, so let's break it up into two. So first, the question was, how many terms and clauses does our AI extract out of the box? So just out of the box, our AI extracts more than 40 known terms, and upwards of 70 clauses or clause categories / types. Now, if our if you might be wondering that, hey, our contracts are very specialized. They're specialized for a particular geography or for a industry use case. Will your AI be able to extract additional terms? The answer is absolutely yes. So even though I said 40 terms and upwards of 70 clauses out of the box, extracting additional terms and clauses in our world is only a configuration. It doesn't require additional specialized training. Now, that was one part of the question, and the other one was, okay, why do we need terms and clauses extraction if the AI assistant, or you saw the ask contractor question capability, if that's going to give you the term and clause information? So there are a number of reasons why you would want to extract your terms and clauses on an upfront basis to begin with. It just makes life so much easier for contract managers, whether they're from legal or they're from procurement or sales or other departments. Whenever you're dealing with hundreds of pages of contracts or even tens of pages of contracts, you don't have to go and enter all of those terms and identify all the clauses that you want to track and negotiate. AI is doing it all for you. So that makes the contract creation and the contract authoring process very, very efficient. In addition to that, once extracted, hey, as we all know, contracts are the heart and soul of businesses. You can now send these terms and clauses out to all other connected solutions as well. Now, and thirdly, when the ask the contractor question capability, it's an assistant. You have to tell the assistant what to do. Yes, you can tell the assistant, find me all the terms and clauses, and it'll find those for you. But then you also want to be able to store that, right? So you may as well run it through run your contract through a structured extraction process. Create a contract record that you have verified, whether that the contract document came from a legacy contract or a third-party paper contract, and then use it for ongoing ongoing negotiation insights and intelligence, as well as business insights like you saw in the demonstration.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Sunil. With that, I believe we can call it a wrap. Thank you all for being a wonderful, engaged audience. We would love to hear from you and get deeper into the world of possibilities with generative AI. Thank you once again, and I wish you the best in your contract management maturity journey. Thank you.